Hello.
Welcome back to another Power Lunch episode.
We are a little jet lagged today,
A little bit tired.
apparently. We've been, obviously, we didn't do our live last week. Those of you that were wondering where we were.
And we feel really bad about it. We were trying very, very hard to get to somewhere so that we could do the live, but we were always on the go.
Yeah. We were on a wild cross-country adventure last week. We started in Halifax. We were
2 weekends ago, yeah. 2 weekends, not this last weekend, the weekend right before that, we were in Halifax.
Yeah. We started there. We did a boot camp with Wealth Genius.
Mm-hmm.
We were there with Alfonso and Helene. It was a ton of fun. So we did Halifax and then flew to Toronto to watch my brother graduate from law school and become an official lawyer. So that's where we actually were when we were supposed to be doing a live, was sitting in an auditorium watching my brother walk across the stage. So not the most appropriate time to be on a live, I think.
No.
So we do apologize, but where we were.
Congratulations to him. He got called to the bar. We got the whole ceremony. It was really cool. Yeah. Cool to see.
It's fun to watch. Obviously we love you, but family comes first. Sorry. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And right after that, we flew out to, oh my God, where were we? Surrey.
Vancouver. Yeah. So we went from Halifax to Vancouver. Halifax one weekend, Vancouver the next weekend. So that was wild.
So we did our cross-country journey. We were in Surrey for Investor Fest, which was also a ton of fun. We met so many amazing people there. Really great conversations all weekend. Oops. And sorry. I could hear myself talking. And yeah, it was a ton of fun, but we flew in. So, I mean, there's a time difference between where we are and Surrey. So we got in at, I think we landed at like 12:30 a.m. and didn't actually get into bed, I think, until 2 a.m. Yeah. Which I'm not made for that.
I looked at the clock before falling asleep. My head hit the pillow when I was out, but I looked at the clock before falling asleep and it was after 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Well worth it. We had a really great 10 days. It was a ton of fun. Hi, Sahar. Good to see you.
Welcome.
And, but it actually inspired. So the week actually inspired what we're going to be talking about today, which is kind of cool. But before we get into that, if you are new to our lives, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. And as always, this is an open conversation. We don't have like a strict structure or anything like that. We have some talking points, but
we just kind of talk back and forth a little bit, and then we talk with chat as well. Anybody that comes in wants to give their input on the topic that we're talking about, or ask any questions or anything like that. Kind of helps drive the conversation a little bit more too.
Yeah. So any questions, input, please put it in the chat. Much like Sahar did, if you're here, say hi. Obviously, we like to know that you're here as well. And yeah, be a part of the conversation.
That's what makes it fun. Share it with anybody you think would benefit as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Share it with your friends.
Yeah. So the topic for today is investing in yourself. And that was inspired by our 2 weekends of watching a room of people really invest in themselves. Like, they spent the weekend with us, learning, leveling up. We saw people traveling to these boot camps. So not only were they investing their time, but they were investing financially to be able to get to these boot camps. Mm-hmm. And we had some nice weather. I mean, we were in Vancouver and it was sunny. No, the first day was gorgeous.
The first day it was really sunny. We had to move the registration table because the sun was right in our eyes and we couldn't see anything. So we had to move that out of the way. But that was the only sun we saw the entire time we were there.
But I feel like that's kind of normal for Vancouver, and I feel like when they have a nice day, they want to take advantage of it. Absolutely. It was gorgeous on the Friday, and yet they were in a conference room investing in themselves. So we want to talk a little bit about what that can look like, why you want to do it, what it's done for us. And then at the end, we actually have a really cool event coming up very quickly that we want to...
Coming up tomorrow.
It's happening tomorrow.
Tomorrow's the event.
So we will remind you of that at the end. We also have a special gift for our viewers that we'll be excited to share with you. So make sure you're here at the end because we'll have that for you as well. We'll leave you in a bit of suspense other than that. So yeah.
Topic for today.
Investing in yourself.
Yeah.
So I think this is really a really important piece that, I mean, I'll say a lot of investors, but I think a lot of people in general forget about. We live in a society today with like, you know, Amazon Prime and like get it here now, Netflix, you know, you can download things.
Everything is on demand.
Yeah. Super
you want it now,
demand.
You get it now.
And
2-day shipping, same day shipping, like, yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what we've become accustomed to, right? Like our 7-second TikTok videos, everything is really fast. People want things to happen really quickly.
Most shows are released all at the same time, so you can just binge watch the entire thing and not have to wait a week for each episode.
Yeah.
And the ones that you have to wait a week, people get frustrated with them.
I mean, I do.
Yeah, I do.
I remember the days where you like panicked when you had to go to the bathroom in the middle of your show because, you know, it was on TV and that was it.
You only had 2 minutes for those commercials.
Yeah.
And then your sibling would be screaming at you from the other room. It's on, it's on, it's on.
Yeah. And, you know, I do remember, like, obviously remember those days, but and I'm sure you as well, have become accustomed to things happening really fast.
Yeah.
And people are so used to that now. And they forget that some things do take time. Not everything is on demand.
Yeah. Delayed gratification is almost forgotten.
Yeah. And especially in the world of real estate, especially if you're growing a business, it doesn't have to be real estate.
Everything's get rich quick, right? Everybody promotes get rich quick.
And that's scary.
Yeah. It's very scary.
Because this can bring on a whole new topic, but there isn't really a get rich quick scheme. There's no such thing as that. Hey, Christian. Good to see ya. And I mean, for so many reasons, like you can tell me, okay, yeah, I could win the lottery and that's a get rich quick scheme. And this is kind of going off topic a little bit, but even people that win the lottery, they don't stay rich long because they haven't invested in the education and the mindset to be able to handle that kind of money. Yeah.
Typically they don't have that financial education and that financial literacy to be able to keep that money and multiply that money so that they're able to use it over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. They end up just buying a big house and buying cars and toys, and then all of a sudden it eats away, and they can't afford any of that stuff because they spent all the money.
And then often they end up going bankrupt. Yeah, is what that ends up with a lot of the times. And I'm just not saying that it happens to everybody, but that's what happens often is that people haven't taken the time to invest in themselves. And
featuring Hazel.
Yeah, always featuring Hazel. We don't have a strange like rat in our house or anything. That's our dog.
No, that's our dog.
So I know I guess it kind of wraps into the investing in yourself piece, but a lot of people do want that get rich quick scheme. And, you know, if someone's promoting that and someone is pushing that on you, that like, you know, you can get rich super quickly with this, be really hesitant about that because it's tempting because that's the world we live in right now, that everything is so on demand, can happen quickly. You don't have to wait for that.
Or work for it.
Yeah, work for it. Wait for that satisfaction. Build up to that. So we crave and desire that now because everything happens so fast. But remember that if you really want to grow wealth, that's not a fast game. And that is the world of real estate. It's not quick. Everything is can be very slow. Obviously, there can be projects that you make a ton of money on quickly at some points, but for the most part,
they're less often.
Yeah.
And really, that's like fast income. That's not wealth. That's not something that's like winning the lottery, right? Like you win a big lump sum of money, but you need to know how to keep doing that. You need to know how to maintain the money that you do have. Keep that money.
Yeah. And again, this all kind of circles back to the idea of investing in yourself and becoming the person that you need to be able to handle those situations and to know how to build that wealth and know how to manage that money when you do come across it. So if you do a project and do have a big chunk of income that comes from that, being able to manage that is really important. And a lot of that's mindset. So you have to get out of that really fast, buy all the things now. It's very tempting to, once you have a big chunk of money come at you, buy that dream car that you wanted. And it's okay to treat yourself every once in a while. Like, it's okay to have things, but you also need to know how to manage that.
Yeah.
So a little bit, it's like a little side shoot.
Sort of. It's on topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you said, there's no structure.
Yeah,
Wherever the conversation goes.
So I know for us, the moment that we realized we had to invest in yourself, but I know this is one of your favorite stories.
Which one?
When we realized we had to invest in ourselves.
Oh, our first project?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. So we got into real estate, right? We educated ourselves a little bit. We did the, we'll say YouTube University.
Read the books.
Watched
the podcasts.
Knew enough to be dangerous, I think.
To ourselves, yeah.
Yeah. To ourselves. And I used to say that a lot in IT, actually. You know enough to be dangerous. Like, if you just know a little bit, you know enough to screw something up.
I don't even know that much. So
as a support guy, I dealt with that a lot. But yeah, we got into our first project, and it was tough. We learned a lot because we realized that I like to say, I don't know what I don't know. And I think that's what we really realized, was we thought we knew enough to really get going and do this, but we opened the permit halfway through the project. We closed the walls. Anybody that's done a permitting job before, like a job that requires a permit, you don't open the permit after you've closed the walls. They need to see what's inside those walls.
You normally you don't start the work and do that much work until you've opened your permit.
Yeah.
Thinking back to the stuff we did during that project, I'm just like, I don't even know what we thought we were doing.
We were just homeowners. So I guess a little bit about what the project was first is we bought a bungalow. We were living in that bungalow, and we'll say the upper unit. We were living on the main floor, and then we were converting the basement into a legal apartment. But when we first started, I guess it wasn't really going down the legal method because we hadn't opened the permit for it. We just hired a contractor. We didn't know. We didn't know what we didn't know. So we hired a contractor to create an apartment down there. They didn't open the permit. They didn't, whatever. So then we get to the point where we're starting to think about, how do we move forward? How do we get insurance? How do we rent this out? We need an occupancy permit. We start having conversations with other people in the space and other people that have done these types of projects before. And yeah, we just learned that, okay, we need an occupancy permit. How do we get that? Oh, we open a permit to construct a secondary dwelling unit.
Whoops.
So we opened it and everything was fine afterwards. We spent more money on it than we should have because we had to open walls, because we had to redo, add drywall where we had already put drywall up because it wasn't the right type. We had to add fire dampers, all these little things that we had to do, learning it the hard way, ultimately. Mm-hmm. Learning it by doing it, which is important. You must do, but you should have the knowledge before you really get into it. So that's where it comes back to educate yourself, invest in yourself. You have a good story about, you talk about like brain surgery. Like if somebody watched a YouTube video,
yeah,
right, you have that analogy that you use.
I talk about this a lot because I have a medical background. So, it's an easy reference for me, especially if I'm talking to other people in healthcare. I think anybody would grasp onto this, but it hits them a little bit harder. But if you were a surgeon, I don't know if you can call him a surgeon at this point, but you wouldn't do that without education. You wouldn't not go to med school.
You wouldn't do the surgery.
Yeah, like you wouldn't go in and with your scalpel ready to do a surgery unless you were a psychopath. Maybe if you're a psychopath, perhaps. But if you hadn't been to med school and you hadn't gone through your residency and your fellowship to be able to actually perform that surgery, you wouldn't walk into the OR and start performing surgery. And if you were that patient, you wouldn't want to be having someone who's doing surgery on you that hasn't been to school. Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing. Like anything in life that you want to build, if you're an entrepreneur, maybe there's not a specific school that you go to. Maybe it's not a med school situation that you go to be able to perform that that surgery or build your business in that case. But there are ways to get yourself educated in different ways. And, you know,
and that could just be get a mentor, right? Find somebody that has done what you're trying to do and get help from them.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's kind of where the education comes from if you're not in an area that gets traditional schooling.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because we think if you think of a surgeon doing this, I mean, obviously that's like a life or death situation. So it is a little bit crazier. But when I bring that up, people are like, yeah, that would be crazy. That would, like, it would be insane to do that without education. But why isn't it insane to do that in the world of entrepreneurship?
On a house.
Yeah. Or even just, you know, to build any type of business. Like, why isn't that crazy? And I'm not saying you have to go to business school to build a business. I don't necessarily, it's not right or wrong going to business school, not going to business school. And it doesn't have to be a traditional form of education. Like Jeff said, it can be having a mentor or a coach who has been in that area that can help you get to that next level. But why is it only crazy in those fields where there is traditional education and not in areas where there isn't a traditional education stream? Yeah. So
I don't want to leave people hanging on that story because I kind of abruptly stopped it, I think, to bring up the
yes, continue.
Surgery or surgeon or whatever, that analogy. But I guess I'll end it saying that we still have the project. It worked out amazing in the end. But we actually got ourselves a mentor before the project was fully finished. And that's really what helped us complete that with success. We still, like I said, we overspent on it for sure, but it still ended up working out in the end.
Well,
I just wanted to.
That's one of your favorite sayings, right? You pay for your education either way.
Oh, yeah, I haven't said that in a while. I know. You pay for your education one way or another. What do I say? I don't even remember. I haven't said it in a while, but you can either decide to educate yourself, or you can do it the hard way. Either way, you're going to learn, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's all it is you pay for your education one way or another.
Yeah.
Usually I'm comparing it to
either hiring somebody to kind of hold your hand along the way, or you make your mistakes along the way and you pay for those mistakes.
Yeah.
And you have to pick which one you want. And
it might be both. You might still learn. You're going to learn by doing, no matter what. Even if you have a mentor, you're still going to learn by doing. Yeah. But there's a lot of mistakes you can avoid because you're learning from somebody else's mistakes at this point, right? They've already made those mistakes. They have those experiences and they're able to share those experiences with you.
Yeah. And we talk to a lot of people. And again, this isn't like a get a mentor pitch or anything like that. But I do think it's important to have somebody who can guide you through at some point. We talk to a lot of people who are like, I want to build a foundation before I get a mentor. Like I want to learn a little bit or do a first project before I get a mentor. And again, if we go back to the surgeon analogy, you wouldn't do your first surgery, realize that maybe I should get a mentor at that point, and then, go through med school. And I talk to a lot of people who are like, if you're a blank slate at that point, that's actually the best place to start because you don't have things that you have to fix. You don't have bad habits that you have to get out of that
things
someone
has unlearn.
To coach you out of. So if you're wondering, like, am I too early to get somebody to help me? Am I should I be waiting? Should I do a project? Should I have more experience before I jump in? I'd say it's totally the opposite.
Educate first.
That's the best point to start. And again, we're not pitching, get a mentor. It's just, that's a belief that we have because of our experience, because we saw what having somebody holding your hand.
Well, we see it, and not only our own experience, but we see it all the time. We're very much in the real estate space, and we talk to people that have tried things on their own, and they have very similar stories to ours.
So either way, you have to invest in yourself no matter what, and it's gonna come out in different forms. But it doesn't only have to be money wise. The money doesn't have to be the only thing you're investing in yourself. I think it also comes down to investing like your time and your energy into it. And again, this comes back to, I think this is where my thought process on kind of the instant world that we live in. Love the mess. Oh,
Thanks for stopping by, Christian.
Thanks, Christian. So it's not just financially having to invest in yourself. It's also spending the time and the energy. And in a world where everything is so instant and people don't want to spend that time, don't want to spend that energy, they want things now, you have to, kind of take that step back and realize that you do have to make those investments in yourself. If you want to do something and make it worthwhile, you have to invest some time in it. The fast world we live in doesn't really suit the build of an entrepreneur, like being an entrepreneur and building a business. So it will take time, and you will have to trust a process, and you will have to trust that you'll get there, and that things, you won't get into it and necessarily have a property in a month. Maybe you will, but you might not. You have to put the time in to be able to get there and to be able to do it successfully. You have to, it's like, time in the saddle.
Yep.
I feel like that's a very old saying, but those old sayings, they're old for a reason, because they're not from our fast world that we live in right now.
Yep. Our mentor often says it's not like, how long is this taking? How much does this cost? What are we doing? It's who are we becoming, right? Mm-hmm. And investing in yourself is really, you're upgrading your own life, right? You're becoming a new version of yourself by putting that time and that energy into personal development, into learning a new skill, into becoming an expert in whatever field you're already in, right? Leveling up.
Yeah. And I know even for myself, I've wanted things to happen now. Like, you can't help it, right? Like you still want it to happen now, but
it's like golf.
Yeah.
Dakota refused to golf for the longest time. You've come out of your shell a little bit now, but I think in trying to get you to come out and golf, I learned that the reason you don't want to golf is because you don't want to suck at it.
Because I'm not good at it. And I don't
Because you've never done it before, right? I want to
be bad at it.
And you don't want to be bad at it, but you have to. Everybody starts from zero, right? You don't start, there are naturally athletic people that maybe their hand-eye coordination helps, but you are one of those people. So you want to be at the pro level when you've never swung a club before.
Yes. That is correct.
Right? So it's the same idea.
Yeah. And I think if you're somebody, a lot of people are like that. And for me, it's taken a lot of growth to even, like, I refused to do a lot of sports for a long time. I'm a figure skater. I'm good at that. And that's what I stuck to.
But you weren't a good figure skater when you were first starting out.
No.
I'm assuming.
That was pretty
I assume you weren't doing triple axels when you were first putting your skates on.
But the point of it is that if you are somebody who struggles with that, that's okay. It's just something you have to work on. So you do have to get
personal development.
Yeah, exactly. You just have to get a little uncomfortable. You can be okay with the fact that, this is who you are. You can accept that, but then you also have to grow on top of that. So now I have gone golfing in front of a lot of people, and
you don't suck.
I'm okay. But even like for a long time, like I said, I wouldn't do anything. But since then, I've been in curling bonspiels. I played softball. I'm trying to learn how to golf. And that was me having to grow, because as a teenager, I would have never done any of these things because I didn't want to suck. So it's taken a lot of growth for me to do that. But again, like Jeff said, it's who you have to become to be able to do that. And I had to become someone who was uncomfortable with not being the best golfer on the course, but comfortable that I am a newbie and I have to learn, and this is where it has to start. So, don't beat yourself up if that's who you are, but just understand that you have to grow.
Okay.
Yeah. The other thing that we talk to a lot of people about as far as investing in yourself, because a lot of people, especially from a financial perspective, this is a big hang up that a lot of people have. And I know our mentor says a lot one thing he says often is if there were, I think it's like if there were $1 million buried below us, you wouldn't question the cost of the shovel to like uncover that. And I think a lot of people get hung up on the cost of having to invest in yourself. And the thing to remember is that there will never be anything that you invest in that will have a higher return on investment than investing in yourself, because that return is infinite. There's no limit to what that return is going to be.
The moment you invest in yourself, you open up all of these new doors of opportunity, right? And so that's where that infinite investment or that infinite return comes from. Yeah.
So realize that even time, right? Investing time to grow yourself and investing that energy.
Energy, dollar value.
Yeah.
Like all of these are factors for sure.
Yeah.
When we talk about cost, it's not just a dollar value.
And it's hard because it's not a hard asset, right? Like when you invest in yourself, it's hard to see what that return is. And sometimes you have to actually look back to who you were a year before to realize what that return has been, because you have grown, you have become somebody else. But it's hard for people to wrap their head around, because they're like, well, I could invest in myself and learn, or I could buy this, or I could invest in this, or I could do this, and I'll be able to feel what that return looks like. So sometimes it's hard for people to invest in themselves because it's not on paper, right? Like you can't quantify what that's going to look like, but you will feel it over the course of the year, and you'll have to sometimes look back to realize what that return has been.
Yeah.
So I think to me, that's where what I've seen a lot of people get hung up on is not being able to actually like quantify what that return is. But realistically, once you have that skill, once you've developed that skill and invested in yourself, you can use that skill over and over and over and over again and do what you were going to do initially with those funds and do it even better.
Yeah.
So I think it's a common trend that I've seen, and I think it's really important to realize what that return can be.
Yeah. Even the time commitment. A lot of people get hung up on the time commitment, right? How long is this going to take, or how much time do I have to spend doing this? I don't know. I've changed a lot. I do a lot of personal development. So I barely listen to music when I'm driving in the car, for example. I put audiobooks on, and they're mostly personal development audiobooks. It's not just story time. It's like in the evening, we might watch a show before bed just to shut our brains down, but we're not spending hours on Netflix because we're spending that time investing in ourselves instead. We're spending that time educating ourselves. And that might not be a dollar value. That might be just using that time.
Yeah. It comes down to your priorities.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can find the time if you do your time blocking, if you prioritize certain things in your life, you'll realize how much time you'll actually waste doing like just sitting on your phone and scrolling through your phone and getting lost in Facebook and Instagram and Reels and TikTok and whatever you're getting lost on. You'll realize how much time you actually waste doing that. And if you were able to prioritize that differently, and obviously like it's not necessarily saying you have to have this take over your life, because you have friends, you have family. A lot of people have other like full-time jobs that they have to do. And this is like the entrepreneur side is, kind of a side hustle right now. I don't love side hustle, but it is a side hustle. And you just have to prioritize your time and really look at how you're spending your time. Your phone actually, I know my phone does this, will tell me how long I've been on social media for the week. And if I look at it, I'm like, oof. Sometimes I'm on social media and doing some business stuff.
There's like doom scrolling, and then there's being productive with being an entrepreneur. Like you need to be using social media, and if you're not, you're missing a major market, right?
Yeah.
So it depends on what you're doing on social media and how productive that is.
Yeah. But you can save or you can kind of reallocate a lot of the time that you're wasting to building yourself, investing in yourself, building for whatever that entrepreneurial journey is going to be for you. So, if you're like, I don't have time, there's very few people that I've met that say that, and they truly don't have time.
Yeah.
It just comes down to what their priorities are. For some, there's been like the odd person that they truly, at that time in their life, they had stuff they were going through and they didn't have time. They didn't have the ability to focus on building whatever business they were building. But for the most part, it's people that do have the time. It's just being spent doing things that are, in their minds, more important to them, which can be scrolling TikTok for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
I think that's pretty much all I had in my brain.
There's one more thing.
Okay, Jeff has more in his brain.
If you invest in yourself, you streamline the process of doing whatever it is that you're trying to do. So a good example is if you're trying to do everything on your own and learn everything on your own, learn from your own mistakes, then, and this is easier with a marker, but your journey, this isn't going to work on the screen. Are you going to draw it out? You end up, okay, this isn't going to work.
Yes, it will.
I think you need a marker.
I don't know. Can you see that?
No.
Shoot, our lights are too bright. Oh, this isn't even right anyway.
No, I think you might need a marker.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know if I can explain it without drawing it.
You can do this. So I think like your path ends up kind of doing this. Like this is where you want to go. This is where you are, and your path ends up.
Are we doing more charades?
Yeah, we always have charades.
Here we go. More charades, guys.
Charades. So this is where you are. This is where you want to go. And your path, like if you're trying to do it kind of all on your own without investing in yourself, it's going to end up like whoop, 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 whoop. You'll get a little further, but then you go back and then you go this way.
You're going to make mistakes. You're going to get distracted.
This was our first project. We were like, we're done. Oh no, we need a permit. Oh no, we need to open up some walls. Oh no, we need to like basically restart our projects. We didn't have a permit. Okay, we're almost done. Oh no, now we need to cut a window because we didn't know we had to cut a window. And like you end up in this kind of like circle, but you end up eventually. You're spinning
your wheels, essentially.
But
right?
You put your hands back.
Oh my God.
You do we finish the project, but instead of it being like, you're always gonna have your little blips. Instead of doing that, we were like, whoop, 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 back to the beginning, whoop, 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 kind of almost making it, and then we ended up at the top, right? We finished it. But now with the fact that we've invested in ourselves, our projects are a lot more streamlined. Yeah, we have some little like we go off the path a little bit and we get ourselves back on, but that's because our mentor is there to be like, oh, you're going this way, you need to stop and get yourself back on the path. Oh, you're going this way, now stop, get yourself back on the path.
And that's just having the ability to see that you're what's the word I'm looking for? You're able to see that you're going off track. You're able to bring yourself back.
Because you might not know that you're going off track. Someone else has to tell you that.
Sometimes, yeah.
So yeah, it can definitely...
Unless you really know where you want to go. If you truly know where you want to go and what you need to do to get there, and you've really broken it down, again, that's an investment in yourself. That's an investment in what are my goals and what do I need to do in order to get to those goals. Mm-hmm. That can help keep you on track.
Yeah. And obviously you have to balance investing in yourself and your education with analysis paralysis. And I think the best way to do that is to take little action steps. So as you learn something, apply it. Then you learn something else and then you apply it. So yes, you're learning, you're investing in yourself, and then you're applying it. That's part of the investment in yourself, but you're not just watching a bunch of YouTube videos and that's you investing in yourself, because that can be helpful. Sometimes you need to do that. But if you end up on YouTube for 2 hours and
you're watching cat videos by the end of that,
probably, but you haven't actually done anything with it, then have you actually invested in yourself? Mm-hmm. So it's finding that balance between, putting that kind of book investment or that knowledge investment in, and then applying it and practicing it, because that's really important, is the practice piece.
Yeah. And that's the last educational program that we went through was built that way. It was built in modules, right? And the modules were all locked until you had your next coaching call.
Yeah.
So you were building like you were learning a concept, you were learning how to do something, and then you would go and take action on that and apply what you've just learned. So it's applied knowledge at this point.
Yeah. And that's going to get you further a lot faster because now you've actually put that practice in. You've realized, because not everything is the same as school, right? It's never like it is in the textbook. You have to make some adjustments for the real life world because everything is different. But at least now you have kind of the textbook version and you've had the real life practice version of it.
Yeah.
Which tends to be a little bit different. Everything has its own nuances. So
yeah. Everybody's heard knowledge is power. But there's a key component to that that's actually missing, and it's applied knowledge is power, right? Mm-hmm. Actually doing something. Yeah. You could read all the books in the world, but if you don't do anything with any of the knowledge that you've gained, it doesn't get you anywhere.
Exactly. Okay, that's really all I had in my brain.
Are we ending on that little mic drop?
Yeah.
Nice. I love it.
Mic drop.
But we're not done yet.
No,
remember,
we're not done.
We have an event happening tomorrow.
So obviously, we just talked about investing in yourself is super important. We're hosting an event tomorrow. I can't believe it's already tomorrow. That's really exciting. We're hosting an event tomorrow for anybody that is in Ottawa. This obviously is an opportunity to invest in yourself. We are going to be, it's like a networking event, and we're also going to be doing a presentation on one of the properties that we just, I'd say, quite successfully negotiated. So we'll be talking about that process and how we did those negotiations and really like spilling the tea on some of the
strategies that we used.
Creative methods that we use. So
again, we learned how to do these by investing in ourselves. We learned, we put all of these tools in our tool belt, I like to say, and learned all of these different creative strategies, which helped us in the negotiations to really get major, I'll say, discounts on the latest acquisition.
Yeah, exactly. Like with the one that we're going to be talking about, it was a $600,000 equity on the buy. So
no more.
Oh, right. It
was closer to like 700. It was over 750.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about that. That was a huge success for us. We're going to talk about some of the strategies that we used. Tickets are only $25. It's, like I said, it's also a networking event.
It's happening in Ottawa.
And if you're on this live, message us, or you're watching this, message us, because we have a couple of special promo codes left. We don't have very many. There aren't very many tickets left, but we have a couple. So message us as soon as possible, and we will make sure to get that to you, because obviously we'd love to see you there. So if you're not in Ottawa, I'm sorry.
Somebody's traveling to come to this.
That's true. That
I
is
think
true.
From Sudbury. Yeah.
So,
I mean,
before you make the trip, come visit us.
Investing in yourself, right?
Definitely.
Yep.
So
dedication.
Any questions or to get that promo code, send us a message and we will hook you up. Otherwise, that is...
Until next time.
That is our power lunch. I forgot what it was called for a second.
If you enjoyed this, please share it and drop a comment. Like it. It all helps with the algorithm, so...
Yeah, and we will see you next week. We're back on track, so we will see you next week, 12:30 Eastern, right here, live on Facebook and on YouTube.
See you later, guys.
Until next time.